Okay, so this is Thursday, the 9th of May 2008, 2019. So this is a get a job in your profession now. It's a webinar, basically to provide some valuable insight for newcomers, for new job seekers in Canada who are trying to figure things out. Yeah, they probably already are having challenges with, not getting responses from recruiters and, sometimes getting random feedbacks, basically from employers, which, it is something that is common with new job seekers. So I'm going to address those issues today, and I'm going to provide some insight as to the most, efficient or effective way to approach job search in Canada to help you get in your profession soon enough. That will be a period between 90 days and 180 days, 3 to 6 months here in Canada. That is the result that we desire to get for you. So let's move on. The webinar, as I said earlier, is designed for you to get a result within 90 days. So it's in a challenge uh, method. Basically, we're challenging you to get a job in 90 days here in Canada. So yeah, I like to do. I like to measure, learn, and act. This is what Kaizen is all about, which is the foundation of my coaching methodology. Basically, I am an entrepreneur. I am an engineer by education, but I pivoted into supply chain management. I've realized that, well, whatever innovation, whatever product I build, that supply chain management is very, very important. And basically, I started innovating, in this area of job search and continue business process improvement and continuous improvement, which is now what I'm applying to the job search situation in Canada. I like to do, of course, you see me there in class. I think that's Robertson College, teaching students about supply chain management. I also do my own personal training and coaching, one of which is the job search coaching. I do training, providing specific tools, that help professionals, experienced professionals, in the area of supply chain management, project management to get a job in their career sooner here in Canada. Of course, I learn from all these things, and then I'm able to address issues in both at work, in business, and also in my family life. When you could also apply this approach. Okay, so every job seeker that comes to Canada, or even before you land in Canada, you probably have been taught the way to get a job. And usually, what you see is you're taught to, prepare a master resume, and and then try to adapt, these resumes to some job application that you find online, maybe on LinkedIn, Job Monsters, Recruiter, company career website, and then you write these applications, cover letters, and then submit. Hopefully, you get called for interviews. You practice these interviews, and then maybe you will get lucky when you go to these interviews and get a job offer. So this is usually what it's out there. I think well, in school, even this is what we are taught. So well, based on what you have here, where you really do not have a control over this process. So I call it contingent. So basically, basically trying your luck. It's a dicey process. You're just throwing dice. Well, it is what it is. And so let's move on to the next slide. So now when this process or this method that we've learned in school, learned with career coaches and all that, when we apply it as experienced professionals who have their background from other places, that is other than Canada, this is what we really experience. As we try to apply the jobs in our profession, you would see you probably will get some interviews, response. Sometimes you get some second interview, no feedback, and well, when it continues like that, you don't get any feedback that even helps you to be able to improve, for any future interview. Then, people just generally develop job set depression. And, that might sound dramatic, but it does happen. I've seen people, I've spoken with people who were going through this experience. Really, it is just that you are basically you've lost hope, you've lost confidence even in yourself. You basically associated the failure in your job search, you associated it with your identity, and it's a terrible situation because what it is that you've given up or even applying to job just so you could avoid the pain of this frustrating process, this emotional process, this up and down. As you could see here shown in the chart here on the on the slide. Okay, so given this particular issue, I like to just kind of sample from opinion, from folks who are, job seekers or they are about to be job seekers. They probably would have had some experience with recruitment or trying to get a job at some point in your life. So these are the different ways that you could get a job. Online applications, getting it through a recruitment agency, submitting your resume to their pipeline. You could get it through professional network, well, maybe through a network or a contact you met at a professional event. And then also you could get it through your friends and families, where, you were given a referral, for a particular job opportunity that they're able to know about through their own network. So when I do these surveys, this is kind of result that I get. Okay, so this particular result came out of feedback from quite a number of good sample. This is from a number of about 50 people, responding. And, there's something obviously shows up here in this chart where it shows our friends and family and online job boards, are the most prominent, like that. These are the most common strategies that people use in job searching. Usually it's between these two, right? It sometimes could be online that is highest in these polls. Sometimes it's friends and family that is highest. So that makes me want to talk about what we call the hiring pyramid. Basically, your question probably might be from the previous chart, like, okay, why is it that, friends and family, really is one of those methods because what you probably might be familiar with already is the online job search. Yeah, that will be a great way to introduce this iron pyramid because if you look at this pyramid, it's just kind of showing us that the way employers, actually approach job search is different from the way that job seekers approach job search. So basically, the job seekers are going against like a stream, where they're using more energy, because really, like I said earlier, that base method that we were taught in school, we were taught, on how to job search, basically, it's a very wasteful process. And you could see yourself here. So I usually will ask folks, that I attending my webinars to tell me what they could observe here. There are a lot of things that comes out of this pyramid. One being that it shows you that the opportunities that are available online is like a tip, of an iceberg. Like this is just a little opportunity that you see out there. A lot of those opportunities that are available in the industry, you don't actually see them being advertised because apparently employers, are filling this role through all the methods that you see here on this pyramid, whereas the job seekers are only seeing those opportunities that are posted, which is just like a little. And the bad news is, since this is a competitive process, the online job search thing, it becomes that even for just one job opportunity, you might see about 500 applications, which is really crazy. And as you could imagine, you just like for employers to pick the best candidates or to shortlist, it's like, you're picking, like they say, pin from an A stack. So, which is a very daunting process for employers as well. So, guess what? This is why employers would prefer to go the other direction. They rather approach, this process through trust relationships. So what are those trust relationships here? Contacts from existing staffs, the folks that are already inside, those who already had their foot in the door, professional organizations, recruitment agencies. These are all trust relationships. So that there you have it. And general, I think, balance, in the industries, referral. Basically, employers prefer to, fill roles through referrals rather than the online job search method. Then the question would be, why do these people prefer to, go through the referral approach rather than post online? Because apparently a lot of these job opportunities are not posted. There's some ways to look at this. Well, let's examine the stakeholders' expectations. Who are the stakeholders? The executives, the RM managers, HR specialists, recruiters, service providers, even you, the job applicant. So do you look at this slide right there? There are three key interests here or influencers. The hiring manager is the key one. The recruiters, the HR specialists, the second level of expectation, and you, the job applicant, also your interest is important. So we're going to talk about those three. The first one, the hiring manager. So the hiring manager actually is the one who the um, applicant is going to report to if they happen to be hired. So, well, this is the most important set of expectations, that you need to fulfill if you really want to have this job. So the one thing is there's the domain expertise and drive. Do you have that passion for this knowledge area? It's very important that you're able to demonstrate that. But having said that, what is the social proof, that you have of your capability? That's also very key. This is the reason why you see that even before, your resume gets passed on to the hiring manager, HR folks already kind of looked you up on, LinkedIn or whatever information is out there about you. So they want to know if really this guy, whatever he has on his resume, there's really a social proof, like invisible social proof of that person's capability and not just those two sheets of paper. So this goes on, in an HR process, but the thing is this, for immigrants or for new job seekers in Canada, that is a barrier right there. Because if you do not have anyone here, like, in Canada, it's really hard for you to be able to have a social media. You have to build that from scratch because the moment you caught those, connection out there that you have in your home country, step on the plane and you decided to come over to Canada, you just, you know, cut out all your networks there, and then you need to build that from scratch here. So this is one barrier for the job seekers that are new to Canada. Then also the issue of communication. The communication is a major barrier. Why do I say that? Because communication really it's everything. We have some specific barrier that are related to our culture, especially for the immigrants, that are coming in, the way they speak, basically their accent, the way they also use their body language. If they don't use the appropriate body language during the interview, it sort of sends out, the wrong information. There's some specific culture here in terms of body language that, your own culture in the new job seekers culture is, it's not really like acceptable. And when you see you engage here, especially at the interview, you might be showing his body language that it's not appropriate for the culture here in Canada. So it's basically it's not only about what you said, it's more also about what you did not say, your body language. Also, the issue of loyalty and integrity. Really, this is also another challenge for the immigrants or the new job seekers here in Canada. With integrity, you need to have somebody here. Of course, maybe you have people back home, who they can call or write, about your loyalty and your integrity. But really, the employer is taking a leap of faith right there. What if they had somebody here who checks all those boxes? I mean, they might not really want to take that extra effort, getting your references from your own country. So these are the expectations that a new job seeker will need to fulfill, and it's really a major barrier, especially for these new job seekers who really have not done much around here, and this is why you hear this Canada work experience myth, which is really about these issues. It's not really about the work experience per se, but that we talk about trust earlier. That really they did not trust in these two sheets of paper, rather, but what you're able to demonstrate in terms of all these boxes here, this checklist. Oh, human resources. Human resources generally, they're gatekeepers. Their own expectation basically is about fulfilling the company's policies. So it's all about paperwork. If your paperwork checks right, you're able to demonstrate that you meet the job requirements as posted. That's all HR really cares much about, in terms of this recruitment process. So let's go to the next one. The next one really is the job applicants. Basically, you also have some expectations, and unfortunately, if these expectations are not properly defined, then it creates some other set of issues for you as a job applicant. A situation where you want to be, you want to be shortlisted is one of your expectations, but if that doesn't happen, well, does that then mean that that process is a failure for you? If you didn't get a job offer, is it bad news? If you didn't get feedback, what do you do? So these are some of the expectations that a job applicant has in this recruitment process. But unfortunately, job seekers in Canada, they do not get good feedback. Sometimes it's random. Sometimes you don't even hear back from these folks at all. And then it creates this situation where you then tend to identify with this event as your own personal failure, which is not really the case. This particular event is just something that didn't go well. Rather, you would learn from that and then try to see how you could improve. Would be the right way to go about it, but it starts with you defining your expectations in terms of what is the success, what is success for you. in a job search process. Okay, so those are the expectations, and you would see why the employers use referrals basically as a build up from what we talked about already. The issue of trust, and then all this integrity. The hiring managers, are having to expect some social proof of your capability. And this is why employers prefer to use a referral, as we saw earlier on this pyramid. So um, there is a particular article, where it kind of brought all these things together for you to understand why referral is what the employers use. And if you don't want to spend a lot of time going through this wasteful, frustrating, uh, you know, debilitating process of online job search, then you want to know what I'm going to say next here. So basically, Ernst and Young, has made a conclusion about the effectiveness of referral, in their own, recruitment process. They said that our analysis shows referral that has performed better, they stay longer, and are quicker to integrate into our teams. That's extra young for you. And I think if you really examine those statements there, you would know why they're saying that, because it's all about trust. The person that there is inside is referring this job seeker, this applicant. Basically, they have a trust relationship with their current employee or current staff, who is making this referral. So it's trust, basically. Whether it's fair or not, you need to have employees make referrals for you if you want to find a job. That's an HR consultant just also telling you that this is the way to go if you want to get a job. Though it may sound unfair, but guess what? That's what works. That's what employers use. So that's the way to go if you want to spend you want to reduce it, time and effort and wasted. And look at this, refer candidates are twice as likely to land an interview as other applicants. Let me see, I think I'm missing something there. As twice as likely to land an interview as other applicants. For those who make it to the interview stage, the referred candidates had a 40% better chance of being hired than other applicants. So these are employers, stating the facts, right there out for you. That referral, is the way to go. Oh, so how to go about this? Before I do so, I'll just let you know that the reason why my approach that I'm explaining to you, yet I'm presenting to you, it's based on us trying to cut down on the number of wait on the duration of wait time for you to get a job in your profession. On the average, it's about 3 years for a new job seeker in Canada. But when you look at the 80-20 rule, the 80-20 rule says about 20% of our efforts drive roughly 80% of the impact that leads to a successful job search. So if you look at it, if the average years it takes to get a job in your profession as an experienced professional is 3 years, I tell you what, it should be less than 6 months based on the 80-20 rule. Because 20% of that time, your wait time is all you need to actually get a job in your profession if you follow the lean approach. Now, well, this is the Pareto rule, basically. Just the approach that you're using, cutting down on these 80% of the delay and the waste of effort and time that new job seekers will usually experience. So these are some of the things you need to do. You need to leverage referrals. We've said it over and over and over. Use referrals on your professional networks, your friends, family. Well, you would greatly improve your chances of a job offer via referrals if you made the shortlist. That's all that has been said earlier. Even an HR consultant, also saying that you need to use referrals when you're applying the jobs. Then the SWOT resume. and cover letters. These are still with the situation where thousands of resumes are received by employers. When they use the online job search, really is what makes them to go the referral route because they don't have the resources. But then when they decide to use the online job search, guess what? They don't also have the time to go through all these resumes that they're bombarded with. So that's when they use the ATS software as the applicant tracking software, which basically trash, the garbage that they receive in terms of resume that were submitted to in response to those online job search. But what happens here then is if you don't write your resume in a way that it meets the advertised job requirements, what really happens is that then you are going to have a situation where human beings don't even see your resume because they are trashed. Then leverage feedback. Feedback is very important, because really the outcome that you're looking for in a job search, is based on your response. And if you don't get feedback, there's no way that you're gonna be able to respond properly because you don't get it, you don't have a feedback. So then it's a situation where you need to monitor your results. If you're not getting interviews, well, basically it means that your resume is not working. So you want to go back to your resume and fix it. That will be the appropriate response. Not just sending, because I've seen a lot of people, started sending resumes all over the place, what they call spraying and praying. Basically just spraying lots of resume and hoping that one would, which is really the strategy that we started at what we call contingent. So basically, you want to make sure that you know what you want in terms of your outcome, and then you basically respond as you get the feedback to make sure that you are getting improvement in your outcome. So that's the leverage feedback. The upgrade your mindset, which is the last one, which is the most important one, which is based on the Kaizen mindset. Basically, if you are looking for new result, of course, you do have to change your approach. This is what this is saying. Unfortunately, when new job seekers in Canada go through the job search depression situation I talked about, especially if they spent more than 1 year or more than 6 months searching, what happens is that there are these strong emotions, which they're going through, which basically it makes them to avoid job search, and then they just relax and then just give up, to survival. When this happens, it's really terrible because then it means that the success which they are looking for is not happening inside. And if it's not happening inside, which is basically their mindset, is not focused on success, then the success they are looking for in jobs, which is external, cannot really happen. And that's just it. That's the way it works. So that's why the mindset needs to be part of this. Once you address all these things I just mentioned here, well, then you would go a long way in cutting out all the wait time and your efforts wasted in the online job search approach. So this is the way it works. Kaizen works this way. Kaizen use referrals, basically your trust relationships that you build in the industry. You research the companies in your industry. These also happen not just on the internet. These also happen by you actually meeting contacts within those industries, those connections that will help you with the information and even, if possible, provide you referrals, for any opportunity that opens in the organization. Then there is a SWOT opportunity, the SWOT application where you need to basically SWOT your applications, the resume and the cover letter for each job opportunity. You just don't spray and pray, like I said earlier. You need to be very strategic. You need to do more interviews, basically, prepare intelligent questions also for your interviewers. There is a track and monitor results. One of the things I would suggest here also, you need to have like a job search journal that will help you to track your results. Build relationships. Finally, the whole point, of you in the job search process, it's not just about the job offer that you're looking for. Sometimes you want to build relationship, but remember the trust. You want to build trust. It should be one of your goals. And this is the way it works. When you use the Kaizen, you basically need to follow all this process. So this should be your process for job search if you are practicing the lean job search. So it goes like this. So this is the minimal effort you can put into your job search, which is a contingent referral. If you're using lean, basically you need to seek referral, regardless, if you know somebody you don't know, you just need to figure out somebody to help you get a referral for your job opportunities. A lot of what we're talking about here today is about Kaizen. It requires a coach and a mentor to get you, up to speed. It requires project management, job search effort. You need to track results, your performance, so that you can know what to address. The disruptive really is an approach, that is applicable to those who are looking to transition into becoming independent consultant. And these are also things that you could approach. You could use to. This is one of those tools you could use to help you with job search situation in Canada, especially if you have a lot of years of experience. Then you probably might better position yourself as a consultant, rather than looking for this job where you're gonna be tagged as being overqualified. Okay, so that's a lean job search framework. The job search Kaizen model, it comes with a lot of tools, and these are all the tools that it comes with when it is implemented. So yeah, so a lot has been said. Learning but not implementing. Never implementing is a disease. It's based on psychology, that is called you know, forgetting curve. So this is a forgetting curve here, which says that if you don't apply any of these things in 30 days, guess what? You're gonna forget everything. You only keep 20% of it, and in another 30 days, everything is gone because you're not implementing. So, in order to avoid that situation from happening, we created the ACT project. So basically, our project is we do assessments. As I said earlier, do is the very first thing, and then we do a lot of Kaizen sections. There's coaching, mentoring process during this stage. And then if there are trainings that are required, which are optional, we also connect you with the resources to provide those. Then project management, all these project management that I said earlier, with the help of a coach, to make sure that you are getting the results. Your performance basically it's being monitored to make sure that you are accountable to those goals that you've set. So the 90 days job site challenge works like this. The 4 weeks of the job site Kaizen, we go through the do phase, which is we're doing a lot of assessments, SWOT assessments, applying all the tools we have there in the job site Kaizen toolkit. And then we apply the project management Kanban tools and tracking actionable exercises, which is what you are assigned, to do, when we identify things that, like when we identify gaps. Okay, so the rest of the 8 weeks, will just be progress and feedback, which will be monitored by the coach and the mentor. And then the weekends, basically, there will be some activities that will be group, that we call the mastermind, where folks who are also in this 90 days job search challenge will be going through all sort of accountability, the OT sessions, and then brainstorming, basically discussing issues that we think that will provide even more insight, with the help of mentor session, networking sessions. So basically, who are those people who have used this approach, the Kaizen approach before now? This is Medio. Medio has used this process. He approached very early before he even left his home country, and within 3 months, he actually got a job within supply chain management. And then, as of today, I'm sure he hasn't spent up to a year here in Canada. As of today, he now has he has a strategic sourcing analyst role. The very first role was a junior role, but you know what? That is very critical because the moment he gets into his profession, then it means that all the experience he had back home now counts. And until that happens, you know what? Well, nobody knows that you're working. Like we talk about trust and the social proof. If you don't have it, well, the other experience you brought back from back home doesn't count. So that's why you need to get in fast, 90 days, even if it's as a clerk, regardless of the level you're coming from back home, you need to get in your profession right away. So this is Abdul, who also used the jobs at Kaizen. He was a project manager, from the home country, and then we're able to help him to get within 6 months. We apply the jobs at Kaizen process, and then within 6 months, he got a project manager role. So that's Abdul. And then Ajit. Ajit is actually someone who has about 20 years experience here in Canada. And then, you know what, he had challenges with, maybe, issue of age and the global qualification and all that. And then he approached, for some support, where I then advised on how he needs to go about his job search. And then now he's still working. He's in the Toronto Transit Commission. Finally, I would advise that you subscribe at www.leanjobsearch.com. Okay, I advise you to subscribe at www.leanjobsearch.com, where you would continue to get access to information and resources for application of the job site Kaizen. And then we also have a community built around this method. We have the supply jobs Canada, which is basically the one that was for the supply chain and project management professionals. And then there is the Facebook page for the lane job search, that you could also connect with. So that is it. If you do have any question, just let me know, and then I will definitely be happy to assist you with any other information. But the thing is this, do not forget to measure, learn, and act, because that is the Kaizen way, regardless of if it is job search, and then I'm sure you would be able to accomplish your goals if you stick to this method. Okay, then bye for now. Thanks for having me. I believe this is helpful. If this is something that could be of help to any of your contacts, your relatives, wherever it is that you would like to share information with, just let me know, and then I'll be glad to help. Thanks for now, and have a great day.